Office of Emergency Preparedness, Director of Central Intelligence, Subject Policy towards Chile.
Following the discussion at the meeting of the National Security Council on November 6, 1970, the President has decided that the basis for our policy toward Chile will become the concept underlying Option C of the interagency papers submitted November 3, 1970 by the Department of State for the consideration of the National Security Council as outlined in the guidelines set out below.
The President has decided that 1. The public posture of the United States will be correct but cool to avoid giving the Allende government a basis on which to rally domestic and international support for consolidation of the regime, but that 2. The United States will seek to maximize pressures on the Allende government to prevent its consolidation and limit its ability to implement policies contrary to the U.S. and hemisphere interests.
Specifically, the President has directed that within the context of a publicly cool and correct posture toward Chile,
vigorous efforts be undertaken to assure that other governments in Latin America understand fully that the U.S. opposes consolidation of a communist state in Chile hostile to the interests of the United States and other hemisphere nations, and to the extent possible encourage them to adopt a similar posture.
Close consultation be established with key governments in Latin America, particularly Brazil and Argentina, to coordinate efforts to oppose Chilean moves which may be contrary to our mutual interests in pursuit of this objective. Efforts should be increased to establish and maintain close relations with friendly military leaders in the hemisphere.
Necessary actions be taken to
A. Exclude the extent possible further financing assistance or guarantees for U.S. private investment in Chile, including those related to the Investment Guarantee Program or the operations of the Export-Import Bank.
B. Determine the extent to which existing guarantees and financing arrangements can be terminated or reduced.
C. Bring maximum feasible influence to bear in international financial institutions to limit credit or other financing assistance to Chile. In this connection, efforts should be made to coordinate with and gain maximum support for this policy from other friendly nations, particularly those in Latin America, with the objective of lessening unilateral U.S. exposure, and
D. Assure that U.S. private business interests having investments or operations in Chile are made aware of the concern with which the U.S. government views the government of Chile and the restrictive nature of the policies which the U.S. government intends to follow.
No new bilateral economic aid commitments be undertaken with the government of Chile. Programs of a humanitarian or private social agency character will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Existing commitments will be fulfilled, but ways in which, if the U.S. desires to do so, they could be reduced, delayed, or terminated should be examined.
The President has directed that the Director of the Office of Emergency Preparedness prepare a study which sets forth the implications of possible developments in world copper markets, stockpile disposal actions, and other factors as they may affect the marketing of Chilean copper and our relationships with Chile.
The President also has directed that the Senior Review Group meet monthly or more frequently as necessary to prepare options for specific courses of action and related action plans for the consideration of the Senior Review Group and to coordinate implementation of approved courses of action.
Henry Kissinger.
Tuesday, September 11th, 2001.
Tuesday, September 11th, 1973.
New York City, the United States of America.
Santiago, Chile.
2 Boeing 767s crashed into the twin towers of the World Trade Center.
Hawker Hunter fighters fire 18 rockets into La Moneda, the presidential palace.
Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the attacks.
Only 2 people died in the assault on the presidential palace. In the 3 months after the coup, 1,500 human beings were killed or simply disappeared.
3 Chilean citizens were killed in the attacks.
2 American citizens were killed in the months following the coup.
The attacks of September 11th were intended to break our spirit. Instead, we have emerged stronger and more unified. We feel renewed devotion to the principles of political, economic, and religious freedom, the rule of law, and respect for human life. We are more determined than ever to live our lives in freedom. Rudolph Giuliani.
Everything we had wanted, everything we had created was coming crashing down. It was a sense of burial, of death, not only the death of the president, but part of us that died, Arturo.
When I look out the window, I exhale a prayer of thanks for the color green, for my children's safety, for the simple acts of faith like planting a garden that helped see us through another spring, another summer. And I inhale some kind of promise to protect my kids' hopes and good intentions we began with for this country. Freedom of speech, the protection of diversity. These are the most important ingredients of American civil life and my own survival. If I ever took them for granted, I don't know. Barbara Kinsolmer.
None of us who were there, those of us who were lucky enough to survive, could feel the same. It wasn't possible to feel the same. We were losing our grasp on democracy, something we tried hard to take care of, and we knew it would be very difficult to get it back once lost. So those of us who were there, life would simply never be the same again. Veronica Arimoda.
Tuesday, September 11th.
Tuesday, September 11th.
2001.
2 Boeing 767s crashed into the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center.
3 Chilean citizens were killed in the attack.
1973.
Only 2 people died in the assault on the presidential palace.
Everything we had wanted, everything we had created was coming crashing down.
We were losing our grasp on democracy.
1,500 human beings were killed or simply disappeared.
So those of us who were there, life would simply never be the same again.
3,000 people.
3,000.
1,500 human beings.
18 rockets.
2 Hawker Hunter fighters.
767s.
Tuesday, September 11th.
Crashed into the Twin Towers.
We were losing our grasp on democracy.
Santiago, Chile.
When I look out the window, I exhale a prayer of thanks.
Everything we had wanted.
These are the most important ingredients of American civil life.
It was a sense of burial of death. Not only the death of the president, but part of us that died.
18 rockets into La Moneda, the presidential palace.
In the 3 months after the coup, 1,500 human beings were killed or simply disappeared.
3,000 people were murdered in the attacks.
2 Hawker Hunter fighters fired 18 rockets into La Moneda.
2 American citizens were killed in the months following the coup.
New York City.
Santiago, Chile.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, September 11th.
Tuesday, September 11th.
Tuesday, September 11th.
I exhaled a prayer of thanks for the color green.
2 Boeing 767s crashed into the Twin Towers.
I don't know.
Only 2 people died in the assault on the presidential palace.
I don't know.
Nearly 3,000 people were murdered in the attacks.
Tuesday, September 11th.
Tuesday, September 11th.
You have me like
1973.
if I'm following. You have me.
That was really
And
cool.
then don't I come in?
Yeah.
And then you push
Where
me
your
out.
viewpoint just
And then
becomes
you come
all numbers.
You?
Like
Yeah,
3,000
yeah,
deaths,
yeah.
1,500 human beings,
So,
18
I
rockets,
think it's 'cause there's something to-
September 11th, 1973, 2001. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah!
What we can actually do is do in tempos. Like one is like attack, and the other one is just like soft, smooth. Okay.
I think we should do it in pairs though, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So to attack, right?
Alright.
yeah, that's good. And then,
And this
does
is
anyone remember how they get into opposite arms touching?
well,
for the-
we do one, I think one, and then the second one is.
But you see, I don't know how you get my hand to pull me in. I remember that.
Do the other side. Do the other side.
So,
So if we're like this, if we're like this.
so it's one, and then
two.
Which one of you is leading and which one of you is following? I saw that.
following right now.
Okay.
Because we were like, shit, we have space to fill.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Essentially-
they're not going to start the narration until you start your ghost tango. Because I want there to be a sustained U2 tangoing part. And I think that's fine. You can just figure out how to
Seem
do
to
it.
fill the space.